Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are going to get started here in just a moment. We got a few slides to share with you as we're getting started. Welcome to the Dr. Shackley call. All right. Well, we're so excited that you're here. For those of you that are here early, hello, hello.
Hi, Beverly. Hey, Ro.
And I see we got a little bit going on in the chat here, so we can check that out. There we go. Perfect. Wonderful.
Our founder. Yay, Beverly.
All right. And so Carolyn's going to be here. And thank you so much for all that you do. And of course, without Dr. Shackley, we would have none of this.
That's right. Thank God for Dr. Shackley.
All right. So we're going to get started here in about 5 more minutes. So welcome, everyone. We have you muted, but we'll unmute here at the appropriate time, and we'll have some wonderful speakers sharing. We are so excited about all the good things that are happening in the world of Shackley, especially as we celebrate Dr. Shackley's birthday.
I love that his birthday is the week of Thanksgiving because we are so grateful for Dr. Shackley.
Absolutely.
One man's impact is so amazing.
Yeah, the history is unprecedented. I love all of the greatest adventures. Pretty wonderful. It was great to have a chance to meet the Kelly boys.
Right.
And where it all started with vitalized minerals, before the word vitamin was even in the dictionary. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Again, we'll just kind of have some slides going on.
Let's open the lines and let Ro take over the welcome.
All right, wonderful.
You guys can unmute.
Welcome, welcome.
I still don't know why I can't find myself.
We see you, Annie.
Okay, there we go.
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
Hello, Beverly. Good evening.
Glad you came
Beverly.
on to help us celebrate.
That's right.
Hello, aren't you all early? It's not 7 o'clock here yet.
They're
Well,
very early.
we wanted to be prompt. Now let's see if we can see what's going on with Annie here.
I'm on my Chromebook and I guess I don't see where to turn it looking to me.
There's her
Oh,
picture
maybe
amongst
that's
the
it.
crowd.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like you have the camera option on.
Oh, is there, I should touch this option in the top?
It should be in the lower left-hand corner. There should be a stop and start video. Now that you know where the
Oh,
start and stop them.
I see that.
There you are. Yay, you did it. All right.
Woo, all right.
Well, excellent. Thanks, everyone. We're going to have people unmute and say hello and let Ro welcome everyone as we begin. And Cheryl, do you want to continue to do the slides?
No, I think we're going to go see what they want in the chat.
All right. Sounds good.
Hello, Beverly and Ann.
That's what I
Marge, hey, Marge. Glad to see you, Marge.
Thank you.
Okay. These are all.
My husband
here.
Lee's here too.
All right. Hello, hello. I see the hand.
We're trying new technology tonight. So this is something new for us too, where we've had multiple speakers on a video.
Yeah, if you haven't already, go ahead and unmute yourself and say hello, and we'll let Ro welcome everyone as we begin.
And Beverly.
And Beverly, sure.
And Annie.
I didn't know who all was going to welcome everyone, but
Connie, here's our schedule right here.
we know that we're excited that you're all here. All right.
It
Wonderful.
is exciting.
To celebrate.
It is exciting to be doing our very first Zoom to celebrate
Yay.
Dr. Shackley. Woo-hoo.
Right.
I know, how many have we done that have been just by the telephone or the cell phone?
Many, many, many.
Pardon? What
Thank
did you say?
Tricia.
Didn't hear what Beverly said.
I said thank you to Patricia, who was grateful for our call to keep the philosophy going,
Yes.
memories going.
Hey guys, well, we're gonna ask you to unmute because you're gonna have to do that because we have to grant you that. So we'll keep the lines nice and clear as we begin. And we are recording. So welcome everyone and thank you for being here for the wonderful Eden Earth Day call. We're so excited about you guys being here celebrating Dr. Shackley's birthday.
And
Yes.
the lines will all be muted once we start, and then we will unmute the speakers according to our schedule, the agenda in front of us.
There you go. But now's your time to jump on and say hello if you'd like to.
Well, welcome to everybody. And Carolyn, are you here? Ann, are you here?
I'm here.
Joe, are you here? Okay.
I'm here.
Hey. Wasn't sure you could get on with your Earth leaving tomorrow.
I know, and it's sad because our trip is canceled because Rodney has a little cold.
Oh,
And-
no.
I know. Okay, I got over it.
You do that so quickly.
Well, I had to stash a chocolate somewhere, you know.
That helps.
That's all we need.
The trouble is, if Rodney wasn't feeling good, I couldn't get the pity and milk it as much as I wanted to, but that's okay. But this is great. Everyone say behind me, do you see my backdrop?
We do.
Yes.
I did that just for this.
Wonderful. Nice job.
Ta-da.
Well,
Even
welcome
the-
everyone. With that, Beverly, Ro, go ahead. We'll let you guys get started. We're at the top of the hour.
All right, welcome everybody to the Dr. Shackley birthday call. We do this every single year to celebrate our most amazing founder. And believe it or not, this is his 127th birthday. It isn't actually until next week, but we knew we wanted to do this early because of Thanksgiving. And we're especially excited that we have 3 people who actually knew Dr. Shackley. I saw him in person a few times, although I never got to go up and shake his hand or give him a hug, but I did get to see him. But we have 3 speakers who knew him personally, and they're going to tell their stories, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Hello, Carolyn. Are you here?
I am here, and if you can you hear me?
Yes, we can. And we
Yay,
see you.
Okay.
That's great.
great, great.
This is Carolyn Whiteman, who in years past, I don't know how many years past, but she was a very young person who called herself a lifetime key coordinator. All of
True.
a sudden, she understood the word decide. And she had 6 new leaders in 1 year.
Wow.
And she got to sit so close to Dr. Shackley. You'll be jealous when you see that picture. Carolyn, we want to turn the story of time of your memories of Dr. Shackley over to you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Beverly. And wait a minute. Oh, yeah. You can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
Good. Thank you so much, Beverly, and to the whole team for putting this together, because my reminder of the value of everything that we do in Shackley is really grounded in the philosophy with Dr. Shackley. You can go through all the fancy marketing stuff and everything else you want to say, but there's just such a treasure of the value of the integrity and the purpose of this company that is so important. So I actually have 3 stories that I can tell. The first one was my very first official Shackley meeting. And I was a 20-something out of college, not sure what I wanted to do. I knew what I didn't want to do, and that was to sit in an office and, work in traffic. And I went and visited my parents who were living in Northern California, in the Bay Area, in fact. And my mom was using some eco-friendly cleaning products, which then was like totally advanced idea. But the idea that they didn't pollute got my attention, because she said, this is a company that cares about the environment. Well, that made sense to me, because I had lived in the South Pacific with the Peace Corps when nothing was polluted. And I was then living in Southern California, where you couldn't breathe and you couldn't drink the water and all of these air quality things. And so I said, well, I'll buy some of that stuff. Where does it come from? And my mom said, I don't know. I think it's one of those door-to-door businesses. You're going to have to find somebody to sell it to you. Well, that wasn't too appealing an idea, but fortunately I was introduced to Mary and Gary Loomis, who are my lifetime sponsors, mentors. And Mary and Gary lived in the Beverly Hills. Their oldest son, Rob Loomis, had just left for Harvard Law School. And so I saw a little different perspective of what I thought the business was. I wasn't interested in a business, but what they did is they introduced me to the philosophy of the Shackley company and to the rest of the product line. So my first introduction to Dr. Shackley was not too long after that, when I was living in California. So I was at a meeting in the Bay Area, and I believe it was the meeting when the Hagermans and maybe the Hallbergs, I'm not sure, were first pinned as master coordinators. And I was so impressed by Dr. Shackley, but hear the words that I heard. I was not someone who'd come in with, big interest in nutrition. And at that time, particularly, it was like anyone who's interested in health and nutrition is like weird. They've got, they're really strange people. And I was of the background of, I don't need that stuff. I'm bulletproof. There's no difference between natural and synthetic. I don't like taking pills, all of those different things. And I went to the meeting with Dr. Shackley, and I clearly heard him say, when someone said, well, what is the difference between Shackley products and other products? And he said, I can take the raw materials of any other product that you might use and give me the Shackley method of processing, and we will increase the value of those products by at least 50%. Now, some of you may have heard that. I actually have come across an original Dr. Shackley video, which I will post as soon as I can get it up onto my site and people can enjoy. And those were exact words that he said, and here I am listening to them decades later. So that to me was so important, because I didn't come from science, I didn't know the difference, but when I heard him credibly say, it's not the raw materials, it's the way we process it, and in fact, the way we don't process it, because we preserve everything that nature put in there, and it allows your body to use it in the way that it needs to. Now, that just it gives me chills when I think about it. So that was my very first experience. The second experience, again, I was in these early days when my family was in California. And if you may remember, we didn't have internet. We got bonus checks that were mailed that showed up 3 weeks later. You had to ship everything in case lots. I was in Florida, which is at the other end of the planet. And so there were all of these administrative things. And so when I went back to visit my parents in the Bay Area, I would always take a day and go down to Shackley because I needed customer service. I just needed to get some things fixed. And this particular time I went into the office, this was one of the old offices in Hayward. And I went to the office, and it was just a big room of people working. And I looked over on the side, and there was Dr. Shackley. And he was talking to various people. And I thought to myself, this is the opportunity that I'm going to have to ask Dr. Shackley a question. Now, what do I want to ask him? I mean, it gives me chills to think about this. I thought, what am I going to ask him? So when he finally came over and introduced himself, yeah, like he needed to be introduced, greeted me. And here I was, a person from the field who, all of these were inside corporate people. And I said, Dr. Shackley, I have a question for you. Of course, what can I answer for you? I said, how do we answer people when they say that, and it was like the protein, whatever was in the protein, that how do we answer people when they say that there's some kind of sugar in the protein, and aren't we supposed to stay away from sugar? And Dr. Shackley said, well, first of all, that kind of sugar is no different from what you eat in the fruits that you get. So you don't need to be concerned about that being a bad sugar. But he said, we really have two choices, don't we? He said, we have products that nature has given us and that mankind needs to have these products. Now, do we want them to go to people where they won't eat them because they're so pure that they won't like the taste and they won't like them? Or is it okay if we put a little bit of this natural sweetener in there so people like the flavor? And it was like, okay, now there's a logical question. And then he said, let me ask you a question. Have you ever cheated by having a piece of birthday cake? And I thought, there's Dr. Shackley, classic. So that was my second story. And the third one is this story of this picture here, which was taken, it was taken in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in Liberty Hall Square out in the garden. And there was a very small number of us business leaders from the Northeast, I guess, that I don't remember the circumstances. I remember there weren't many of us. And we were there with Dr. Shackley, and we were being filmed with the Liberty Bell or something like that. And while we were waiting after it was over to get on the bus, Dr. Shackley sits down at this park bench in this beautiful square. And he sits there with his arm across the shoulder, off the bench, just by himself. And now keep in mind, this is before people had their phones, their cameras, and things like that. But I saw that, and so did a couple of other business leaders, I believe. We saw that opportunity, and I said, I need to go sit down next to Dr. Shackley, and I hope someone will take the picture. Well, it turned out that there was a corporate photographer for whatever this event was, and somebody scrambled around and got that picture. And it took me, I think, 2 years before I could dig it out of the archives, but I just knew that it was a treasure and I would have no other way to get it. So it wasn't like, oh, gee, just let me get it from you and I'll send it to you. No, this was my treasure. So that and so many other wonderful opportunities to have been with him and be grounded in the core philosophy, which really distinguishes us, and which is what is the core culture of the Shackley Company. So thank you for the opportunity to share these memories and these thoughts and to honor him on this birthday time. And thanks to you, Beverly, and to the whole team for putting this together. I don't know who I go back to, but I'm going to assume I go back to Beverly.
I'm sorry. Yes, you did right. I just didn't get unmuted. But I want to thank you so much for sharing your stories. The stuff has been so important to all of us. And you having that special opportunity to get to sit right beside Dr. Shackley and hear that booming voice. It must have been wonderful. Thank
It still is. It still is. And as I look at the picture, I think, oh my goodness. Yes,
Oh,
thank
great,
you.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing. And now we're going to have Ann Westergard. Now, Ann and I have been friends before Shackley. And then she got introduced to Shackley 49 years ago. And what does a friend do for a friend but share Shackley? So we went and heard her cousin talk about Shackley. But Ann has joined Shackley because it's changed her life and her health and given her a purpose. And one of my great friends, I present to you, Ann Westergard.
Well, I am really thrilled, and wasn't I smart to pick Beverly as my first member? And she did protect me. I was introduced unexpectedly to Shackley by my husband's cousin, Dave Hanna, and Jan Hanna still uses the Shackley products. But I thought it was snake oil. And I was so rude. I can't even tell you how terrible I was. He just never would stop talking. And that's when I called Beverly to help me with this guy. And so anyway, long story, 49 years later, I'm the most grateful person in the world that somebody came across the country because he heard that my husband's wife was sickly. That would be me. I was in my 30s. And I was being called Jim's sickly wife. And so he was kind enough to drive all the way across the country to tell me about Shackley. So in the beginning, I didn't believe a word of it. And I only used the products to get my money back. I promised I would do it for 30 days. Well, of course, it changed my life. And I really grew fairly fast then, and actually earned a trip to the first Shackley Supervisor convention in California. Now, guess what? We were in a Marriott across the bay from San Francisco because Shackley was in the process of building the Market 444 Market Street, which I know Carolyn remembers. And I remember one of the first things, because I really was green, it was very early for me to go, but they took us to see the hole in the ground where they were building the Shackley terraces. And that made such an impression on me because in order to build a huge building or to build a huge business, you've got to have a really deep foundation. And I understood right away that Shackley, and now our foundation is even stronger, but back in 1973, it wasn't that old a company. But we have this huge foundation under us. And our job is not to know everything in the world. We have scientists that know that. All we have to do is share what we love and know that if they don't feel better, they get their money back. And I believe that's the best gift any new person has, as well as all the old ones. I was on this convention and we stayed at the Marriott Hotel. It wasn't that big a convention. And I heard that Dr. Shackley a lot of times would like to come down in the lobby and see his people. And so I hung around with a few other people in the lobby. And sure enough, after Dorothy was in bed, Dr. Shackley sneaked down to the lobby, and we got to sit around and listen to him talk. Now, I remember we had one of those round fireplaces in the lobby, and Dr. Shackley was sitting on the stone hearth that went around the fireplace, and we just sat at his feet and let him talk. Well, he looked over at me and he said, what are you doing in North Carolina? And I said, well, I really love the products and I'm loving sharing it, and I'll share everything except one product. And he said, and what won't you share? And I said, oh, I'm not going to sell Herblax. And he got up, grabbed me by the hand. I can still feel his strong grip, looked me straight in the eye and said, what is wrong with Herblax? And I said, well, it's a laxative, and I don't believe it. And it had in a laxative, and it has a warning label. So I'm not going to tell anybody about that. And he said, young woman, let me see, I have some notes. And he said, young woman, do you take a bath every day? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, you know, your ancestors hundreds of years ago ate a lot of herbs, and that was how they stayed healthy. And you say you take a bath every day. How does that feel? And I said, well, that's good. And he said, well, have you ever gone more than 3 days without a bath? And I said, maybe. And he said, how does that feel? And I said, well, it doesn't feel real good. And he said, this is exactly what your body feels. And he said, you need to take 1 Herblax every night. We're not talking about 4, which is what the warning is about. That's about taking a laxative. You take 1 every night and it will keep you clean and healthy. And he said, looked at me then and he said, young woman, you're nothing but a septic tank on legs. If you don't stay clean, you will never be healthy. Oh, I love that man. And anyway, that was my experience person to person with Dr. Shackley. Now, the other picture over here, and I don't know where they found this happy picture, but yeah, I feel that way about Shackley. But the other one to the right is at 444 Market Street. And I had won or earned, or whatever you want to do, a mink jacket on a cruise. Carolyn, were you on that cruise? That when I earned this, and I was young, but anyway, I wore that mink fur coat all over that ship in a bathing suit, just obnoxious. But I was so excited that I've been able to earn that. Well, when we were in San Francisco, they followed me around and said, got a lot of pictures. And they said, is there any picture that you would like to have? And I said, yes, I want to have a picture at the Shackley headquarters. And I want you to show the headquarters as big like it is. And this photographer actually lay down on the sidewalk at Market Street to take my picture, because to me, it is the symbol of the strength of our company and my pride in being allowed to represent them, and always know that they are there as long as we tell the truth and we go out there and share these products. We are the most honorable people in the whole wide world. And they have given me a life of such joy and such privilege that the only way I can bear to be so lucky is that I can share this with everybody else and they can even get better. So thank you very much for having this. And I do love Shackley and all of you guys that are in the Army with me.
Thank you, Ann. I just laugh at that story and think about how tall you are and that septic tank on those legs. So it's been a great, fun ride with you. Thank you for sharing. And now Rosanna's going to introduce our next speaker.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. It's my pleasure, joy, and honor to introduce our next speaker. He is liaison to the master coordinators, and he has his unique kismet story and how his dad and grandfather's journeys led him to Shackley before he even understood its why. So welcome tonight to our very own Joe Torres.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
We
Loud
can
and
hear you,
clear.
Joe.
All right, because I was on mute the whole time. God, it's just an honor to be on the call with all you people here that are just great leaders, and I've heard about since day one that I came to Shackley. You know, different individuals of you guys throughout. I started off at field support, so you know, they were already groomed and they knew who was who, and they updated me with who's who with all you guys. I've heard your names. This person does this, so I kind of got to know all you guys. When they asked me what my position is, yeah, I'm the liaison to the masters, but I really can't say because I'm doing different things all the time, and I've done different things all the time. One day I'll be doing this, then maybe Roger wants someone to do that, so I jump around. But I guess that's my title for just for argument's sake. You know how this story, my story is basically some things are just meant to be. And so to start off, my parents came here from Mexico in the 40s. They met a farmer in Hayward. They became good friends with him. My dad back in Mexico, he had property, he had workers, he did farming. So this guy was Tom Brinkwitz. He was a very established person at that time in the 50s in Hayward. He owned like half of the city, farms, land, orchards and everything. So he decided to take my mom and dad back to Mexico, get them legalized, come back, because he wanted my dad to be the operations manager of his whole pickles, tomatoes, everything that was on the ranch and farm. Then they were having a house built off the property, so he had our family move in the property, and so our families were Catholics, you know, going to church every Sunday, and you know, so his older son, one of his sons, was my godfather. So we meet together maybe once or twice, 3 times a year. And when we meet for lunch, it's not like an hour, it's like 3 or 4 hours. We'll sit there, have bread, wine, and we'll talk and we'll talk. Well, my last meeting with him, this was probably a year and a half being with Shackley. His name was Richard. Hey, okay, and you know, Joey, okay, tell me what's happening with you. I want to hear everything. And I told him this. I said, well, oh, you know, I got something exciting to you. I pulled out my Shackley business card and I handed it to him. And I said, I'm with this company, Shackley, you know, the owner of this and this and that. I was excited. He looked at me and just started laughing. And I said, Dick, no, this is Richard. This is a legit company. It's a legit company. It's not one of those pyramid things. And he says, I'm not laughing at that. Why I'm laughing is because the doc, he called him the doc, frequent often to the farm. At that time, Dr. Shackley was looking for advice. He was looking for legal representation. And Tom Brinkwitz, which is his dad, had already been through that. He was already an established businessman. So Dr. Shackley came down and visited the farm, the ranch, several times. And I remember as a little kid, of course, I already been with Shackley for 1.5 years, so I didn't know that. I was like, whoa. So I remember as a little kid going in the office and going in trying to be nosy, and I would see them there, my dad, Dr. Shackley, and Dick, and they were talking about, or Tom, and they would say, hey, what are you doing here? Go play with the other kids. So, and that happened several times. So my story is that I've been around Dr. Shackley as a little kid. My dad was a great man. We know Dr. Shackley was a great man. And Tom Brinkwitz was a great man. So I've been around great people at an early age, these great leaders. And the funny thing about it, I didn't really put 2 and 2 together until later on. I remember my father, when I was young, he says, whenever he would make sure we would go to the chiropractor and get our maintenance checks. And then he always, and this again was before Shackley. And I remember taking Centrum as a little kid, vitamin B, whatever it was. I took vitamins, but my dad encouraged us to take vitamins. And it dawned on me that at some conversation that my dad and Dr. Shackley had, he must have told him about chiropractic and taking vitamins. And so here's a little kid. I was big on chiropractic, And I was big on taking vitamins way before Shackley, but I realized that it was tied to Dr. Shackley through my dad. So that's my story. And I'm just like lucky. I mean, I never talked to him because they were adults, and as kids, they don't want you hanging out. I just remember staring, and they saw me in there. And I go play with the other kids, but I remember them just sitting there talking, having good conversation, and I remember that as a little kid. So a year and a half, 2 years later, I found out that my family, my dad was tied to Dr. Shackley, and I had no idea about that when I took the position.
And that's why I call it kismet, because some things are just meant to be, Joe, and you were just meant to be, to come to Shackley through this past that you had that was so wonderful. And now I'm glad and happy to hear that for about 16 years or how long you've been with Shackley, that you use only Shackley products, which you've discovered are the best.
Yes. And I want one quick thing to add to that. When I was hired for Shackley, they told me that I was going to run the cross-sell, upsell program in Shackley. And I took the job because I had done sales with Coca-Cola prior to coming to Shackley. And when I got there, the HR manager had left. So I came on, I met with Laura Evans and a few people. I was supposed to be with Rogers, but our schedules didn't work out. Once I got hired, they told me, oh, by the way, the call center is 800, where we want to have this cross-sell. It's in Oregon, in Medford. And I'm like, no, I'm not moving to Medford. I thought it was here. Oh, we're sorry. I already had took the position. Well, this is, and for those who believe in the unbelievable, I remember about 4 months after starting with Shackley, I thought, you know what? I don't know if I made the right decision. I know I'm not going to move. I know that I know in my heart I belong here, but it just didn't, it's not working. I mean, I'm still going to run field support, but that's not really what I took over. I wanted to take over a sales department and help them cross-sell, upsell to the field. So I was debating to get my resume updated. Actually, I did get my resume updated, and it was probably 4 months after Shackley. I was just already thinking about my exit speech, going back to maybe to another company, another retail company, I was already planning to leave Shackley. And it really hurt me because I knew my heart was with Shackley. And I didn't want to do that, but all the signs said to do it. Joe, this is not what you signed up for. So for those who have been to the home office in the backfield, and I don't share this story that often because I don't want people to think that, but back in the home office, there's a park back there. I remember sitting on the bench. I was sitting there and I was really not feeling good. I was like, wow, man, I really wanted this company. But as I was thinking there was no one there. It was like 5:30, 6 o'clock. Everybody had left home. There's a few people at the home office. And I felt something staring at me. As I was thinking, I looked to the left, I looked to the right. I kept feeling this presence. And I said, this is weird because I feel like someone's staring at me. Right then, as I was getting ready to leave, I looked up at the very, very top. There was it wasn't an eagle. It wasn't a bird. I don't know what it was. It was staring at me. And I remember someone had mentioned this, that the bird that we had that represented Shackley, that the Loomis is dedicated to the home office. I'm not sure the name of that.
The Altus bird.
The Altus bird, yes. When I do tours and I see those statues, that's exactly what I saw. Look at me and just fly away gracefully. And at that point, I realized I'm not going anywhere. I belong here. I believe that was a sign for me to just hang in there because this is where you're supposed to be. And that was almost 17 years ago.
And we're so happy you did. And now you've also noticed that you saw our Eden plaque that's back there in what you call the park, the garden of Shackley, and it's dedicated there to it's from Eden to Wangari Maathai and more, with the tree, etc. So many things are coming full circle, and it's just like so wonderful to have met you and have you in Shackley. And we hope to hear from you even more and more, coming from this little Shackley babe who didn't even know he was going to be a Shackley baby. So, or Shackley big boy grown up.
and it really feels when I sign on, when I help somebody, it really feels like it's family.
Thank you. You are family. That's what Shackley is all about, family. And we're so blessed to all be a part of it. Thank you, Joe Torres. Stick with Shackley. We're glad you stayed right there.
Right. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Joe. That was such a wonderful story. I so appreciate you sharing it. And our next speaker is the amazing Molina Baxter. She is fairly new, and I know all of you have seen her on the Monday calls and probably on the big launch. We are so excited because she is bringing so much energy and all the beautiful changes to our packaging. And I especially love Dr. Shackley's signature. And also, so many people are saying, why don't we have sustainable packaging? Well, we have Molina to thank for that and so much more. And thank you so much for coming on our call tonight. Are you there, Molina? Is Molina here?
She is, and she's unmuted, but we're not hearing you, Molina. Maybe your volume is turned down,
No, it must be just her mic.
your mic.
Oh, there she is. I see her.
that.
Yay.
Oh, yay, there you
All
are.
right, sorry about that. My other screen closed down. So thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to see all your faces. What an honor to be a part of this. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love to do a screen share and I will jump on and share a little bit. So as I'm preparing to pull up some slides, I'll give you a quick overview of me. So I am, I guess at the end of January will be 2 years at Shackley. So I'm the baby in the house. A little bit of history. So I've got I was just adding it up the other day, almost 25 years of marketing experience. I come from a lot of big legacy brands in retail fashion, Levi Strauss & Company, where I spent a significant amount of my time, Sephora, which is a beauty cosmetics company, eBay, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with, a big tech company, Shop Style Pop Sugar, which is an online media digital company, and then Stella & Dot. So that Stella & Dot is my small foray into having some experience in this specific category. But I think all of what that experience kind of led me up to was being able to have a strong respect for brand and heritage. Oop, still hearing me? Okay.
Yes.
Being able to, I really see the power in in this model. We have essentially built in advocates and storytellers of our own. That's everyone here. That's what you guys have done today, is share your story of Shackley, how personal it is to you and the impact it's made in your life, which is so wonderful. So thank you for having me. If you don't mind, because I'm a marketer, I always have to have a PowerPoint to share. So I'm going to share a little bit of, I'm going to go through this very quickly, and I want to get to the good stuff to share with you, but a little bit of history. So when Roger reached out to me a couple of years ago and said, you know, I love your work, I want you to come do some magic at Shackley, I saw the opportunity right off the bat. It is a phenomenal company, heritage, authentic, it stands for all the right things. You know, in terms of health and wellness, you know, science-based products derived from nature, all the things that you know and live every day in a category, wellness, that is explosive and growing. And I didn't necessarily have a lot of direct experience in. So it was a wonderful opportunity. So the thing that I took as a quote, Roger said to me once was, I want to help Shackley become a brand known for today and tomorrow, not just yesterday. That's something that really resonated with me. We need to be able to tell stories back in the day and then create new ones going forward. And there's a new audience that needs to know about this brand. I thought it was a really nice segue into a Dr. Shackley quote that I saw once, which is, your future will be exactly what you think to make it. So again, very kind of future oriented, building from where we came from. From a macro level, we know a couple things have happened in the world, right? Behaviors have changed. And by that, I mean, supplements used to be something that older people took because, you know, they needed it for things. Now, quite frankly, the largest segment of people spending money on health and wellness supplements is in the 18+ range or the 19+ range. It's a phenomenal shift in the market and in behavior. Beliefs have changed. So again, wellness was, for some time, it was a multivitamin. And now there's something you can take for your hair, your nails, your skin. The way we've defined wellness has really, really broadened. And it's important to keep in mind as we go to market. The brands that surround us have changed. So where, maybe we were up against the Nature Maids of the world, the Centrums of the world. The reality is there are new brands popping up every day that are loud, poppy, and get people's attention. And we don't need to be the loud, poppy people. We've got the authenticity to stand on, but we do need to be aware that they're out there and that most people don't have a lot of time to consume and understand the difference between, one of the stories that was told earlier, what makes ours better? That requires time and a discussion. And oftentimes people don't have that. So we need to be aware of what's happening out there so that we can position ourselves right in that sweet spot. So the reality, culture has been shifting, and we're shifting, and this is even before this past tumultuous 2 years, but we really want to restore a sense of control, preparedness. People are looking to science and doctors more for guidance on how to do this. These were statistics taken actually pre-pandemic, but you can see how strong these were, and I have no doubt these numbers have increased significantly, but people will care more about prevention, have more respect for the world. You can see some of the stats below it. People want to take matters into their own hands. So, for example, from the marketing team, the way we take inspiration from this line, in the future, I'll want more companies to tell it like it is with more clear language and less jargon. That's important when we're talking about supplements that are like scientific and it's hard to understand. We don't want to use big words, fluffy words. We want to be straight and direct, but in language that people can actually consume and understand quickly. And you're going to see some of that show up, for example, on the front of our labels. We want to make sure the number one thing, by the time they've got a bottle in their hands, they've purchased it. So the number one thing we need to do when they look at it is tell them, what does the thing in this bottle do for me? So, and you'll see some of those shifts. That doesn't mean that our patents aren't super important. Those are all really important things that reinforces why they purchased it. But that information might go to the back because that's the reinforcer. The number one thing is, why am I taking this? Because it's going to help with my joints. It's going to, for my blood pressure. We need to be very clear on the why on the front. And trust doctors and science more. So all that being said, that's the macro perspective outside of our own walls. The reality is this sets Shackley up in a super unique place to deliver. We have always been focused on science. We're founded by a doctor. We are all about natural ingredients proven over time. And we offer these tools to help you take care of yourself, family, finances, community. It all goes back to that sense of preparedness. But in order to deliver that, we needed to look back at our brand and modernize and make sure that we were refocused. Some little tips and tricks here, refocusing the brand to make sure that we are just as relevant to the next generation of wellness stewards. So that set us off on a very fast sprint in my first 6 months to a brand modernization. And we did it. We did it in actually record time. We launched this at conference last year. And it was all about, that tagline of making healthy happen. So again, I apologize. I know I'm going very fast through this, but I want to get to the juice because I think you will have some fun seeing the visuals. So, as you remember, our beloved old Shackley logo, we really wanted to update this. And if some of you guys remember this from the presentation, there were elements that just needed to be updated. We did that. So you can see here, just to make sure that that leaf is beloved. It's still here. It's just naturally tucked in right into that little thing. So into that A. So that's the shape. This is a piece of art. It's actually not a font. It's unique to this logo only, and it was hand done. Some small features, if you didn't catch this from before, is you see the tops of these, the H, K, and L are tipped over. So that's really meant to show it's then inspired as if wind was blowing it over, so harnessing the power of the wind. And the E's here, we brought up, it's sort of a design trick. So the E's are slightly higher, which makes kind of an elevated smile, and it makes the whole phrase happier. It's actually a funny little design trick. So, and we felt that the brand itself was such a positive brand that, it's one of the very subtle design tricks you don't maybe realize, but at the end, just the height and the way it's all designed creates a happier sense with the logo. So we had a belief. It started from that. And again, I'm going to kind of track through this quickly. We believe that together we could create a healthier world. All of those elements were broken apart to help build what became our tagline, making healthy happen. And again, there's a belief, and then there's what we say to consumers. And making healthy happen is very much an action-oriented phrase that we can take forward. And I'm happy to share this out in more detail, but there's active intention. It's about focusing on making impact. And if we do our jobs right, we're actually bringing forward, we will be living proof, really this tangible proof of what Dr. Shackley's legacy is all about. Our mission, as you heard in this year's conference, is bringing true wellness to the world. And we are always going to be about that. That will never change. The way I've described it to the teams internally is if we were still in an office, these words will be written on the wall. We're about bringing true wellness to the world. Again, never changes. Doesn't matter what season, what product, that is our mission. I'm going to come back and play this. This is the video, and it's probably going to lag a little bit, so I'm going to come back to this. But our Shaklee Guarantee, which I think is just holds so true, still to this day. I love the message, so I'll be back to that. Getting into the design. We are nature-based companies, so when I say we geeked out on every detail of the design, I mean it. So our entire color palette was pulled from nature. And pulled through so you can see all the original inspiration, and there's a combination of air, sea, land, earth, trees, you name it. These are all the elements and how they break apart. So our new logo, we changed our fonts, the way, all the colors won't be used with equal weight. So you'll see more of these. And as we break into our product lines, you'll see the green palette's really preserved for nutrition primarily. The blue color palette will come to life in our home line, and the more sand and earth tones will come to life in our new body line. So that's how it all comes together to create this holistic approach. A specific question came up about Dr. Shackley's signature. So I will address that. We very much wanted to make sure that we were grounding the brand in authenticity. And the reality is, unlike so many of the other brands out there, we came from a person. This was inspired by an individual who is still so inspiring. And we wanted to bring that forward. We didn't want it to get lost. So we were very inspired by this concept of a modern apothecary. So imagine if Dr. Shackley was still around and you wanted some advice, or you had an ailment that you needed help with, you could imagine going down to your local, drugstore, and he'd be behind that counter. You'd have that conversation. He'd write you a prescription. We really wanted to invoke that feeling. So we brought the Dr. Shackley logo front and center onto the packaging to really emphasize that heritage. Any questions on that before I keep going? Just for those of you who are really, really close with him, this is actually not the exact Dr. Shackley logo. I just want to call that one out. This is a rendition inspired by, because the real one wasn't as pretty, and so this was about the packaging, so we wanted to do that combo. So that's the truth bomb. It's an inspired by, a cleaned up version from an artist working off of his original. Okay, so this is just so that you guys see as we're thinking through the whole system of assets, that we're going to start to bring things together. So where right now we have Prosante, Emfucel, we've got a lot of lines. Not saying those products are going away, but we are eventually going to be molding things into a signature overarching brand, so these can sit consistently. I'm sure you've seen these, but we applied a lot of this rebranding to the existing assets that we have in the house. And as we thought about our approach to photography, again, how do you bring forward nature, science, efficacy through visuals that don't look like happy people taking vitamins? So we were very inspired to do this. A lot of these things are videos or stills taken from videos that the team worked on. And here's a little bit of design inspiration for the packaging. So before we went into it, again, pulling from the concept of natural or modern apothecary, this concept was really resonating. A lot of in-market trend is happening right now. These brands who are really claiming this authentic look, but they don't got the 65 years that we have. So we wanted to take this concept back. So If you can see this, and interestingly, this look, this design aesthetic is very prominent in like the bath and body world, but doesn't necessarily exist in the supplement world where these were really meant to be. That's what they're evoking. So we took this approach and we first touched on our labels. So you see our new labels here, updated. They're a combination of things. So one is colors, different colors. So everything's kind of looking a little bit different and they sit holistically. I think the green actually shifted a little bit. That's not the true and final color. But we also wanted to bring forward what is the product in the tubs, so you don't have to open it and put it into your hand to see what it is. And we wanted to bring color and life and dimension to the labels. So we brought these products onto the front. What you see here, if you haven't seen the new meal bars, by the way, I think they're hitting market now. This is an overview of where we're headed in the short term. So the other question about packaging and greening it up. I'm sure you have all heard in the news or aware of the global supply chain issues that are affecting everybody. So we are working on that and working through that. So the process of rebranding and repackaging is going to be a several-year initiative. We're going to start year one was let's change the labels. We know we've got products coming out and dropping in the line. Let's update those where we can. So you're going to see those labels coming out. The next step will be moving the caps. So again, if you go back to this, a lot of these are darker caps over amber bottles. So we're going to start to roll in kind of darker caps. Again, if you've gotten a collagen 9, you'll start to see that those are in. So we're going to be a little bit like an awkward teenage stage for a year or so as things transition out. We don't want to dump inventory. That would be irresponsible, both fiscally and environmentally. So we're letting it roll through and then we're going to replace stuff as it comes. So you will see a little bit of awkwardness for a year or so. Bear with us, and we'll make sure on the website, if you go to a product, it'll say, you know, label could look like this or this, and so people know it's the same product. So you'll see this kind of slow movement over into new labels. And then eventually, these aren't completely done, but eventually we will be moving into this direction. So again, this amber, beautiful bottle, you know, if they can be glass, great. We'll definitely make sure these are, we're gunning for post-consumer recyclable plastics if we can. We have teams that we've just brought in to help us source and get as green as we can. You know, we're throwing out a lot of different ideas. Collagen, for example, you know, what if the first one comes in some sort of an aluminum tin and then the refills are in pouches? So we're thinking through all of those things to get as green as we can, keep in stock, supply chain and all those things. It's a very interesting kind of lesson in a little bit of patience, but also know that from a greening packaging perspective, huge priority for myself and everybody on the team. So I'm going to press pause here before we keep going. What do you think of this new look? Good. I think it's very, you know, it's kind of clean and dare I say sexy for supplements, but also still, you know, I think there's something that looks very, I don't know, it still looks official, right? There's still that validation that you feel like, again, this is a premium product at a premium price point. You all know this because you sell it every day. So we need to deliver a premium experience. I think Dr. Shackley's signature, again, kind of reinforces that. So you'll see us really cleaning up and taking a lot of the copy off of the front so people can see the product name, what it does for them. That's what they need to know. Then the back will support it, and then we'll make sure you have other assets in addition. So moving to more fun stuff. We took a very different approach to our the rest of our product line. So again, we were inspired by, like, let's break things. You know, if you look at a gourmet candy bar today, they are just so beautiful. Sometimes I end up buying them because I just like the packaging. And also I like to eat them, but I love the packaging. And so we really wanted to, you know, the number one thing, and again, we thought about all these projects differently. When you're going to consume this, it's important, of course, the information, but you need to be sold on that before you get it in your hand. When you see the product, there needs to be salivation, like you need to want to eat it. And taste is one of those big things that we wanted to bring front and center with the product and the ingredients. And then you'll see just the most important pieces of information in the front: protein, fiber, and all the good information right there. Oftentimes we had so much to say at Shackley that we were saying all of it. And what we needed to do is edit down to the stuff that people could just take away. And so we've kind of really filtered ourselves as much as we can. Okay, sneak peeks. No promises. I'm just sharing with you because you invited me on here and I don't keep secrets well. This is a quick look at where we're headed. This is only conceptual, so things can change, don't fall in love. So body, as I mentioned, that body line takes on a different color palette. We move into the sands, into the earth tones, some visuals in terms of inspiration. So tonal, sexy, sleek, this is a much more intimate moment, right? Like your products are with you. It's a body line product. So again, conceptual only. These are concepted in aluminum so that they're 100%, much more eco-friendly. But you can see, we wanted to make these unisex in appeal, but modern and chic. And we want you to put these, proudly everywhere in your homes. Like when you're walking through an open home in your neighborhood, because we all want to see how our neighbors live. We want these products to be the ones that the stylists are using around the house. So that's a quick look at kind of inspiration. Home line. Again, we move into the more water or air-based color palette for the home, and some inspiration here. So I think in the home line, we have where I see a lot of the opportunities, not in our formulas are fantastic. I think we have some opportunities to rethink about how we deliver those. So this, for example, basic H2, wow, 45 gallons, 48 gallons. I think I'll have that for the rest of my life. And so we need to think about, our formulas, how we deliver it. So a lot of inspiration there, again, very early concepts, but just thinking about how can we change it up, shipping less liquid. So it's, not so heavy, not as expensive and hard on shipping around the environment. So these things, although they look different when they were designed kind of holistically, so that when you set them together, what you're getting is a very different and kind of modern approach to the brand. Likes, okay. Not too far, not too scary. We're good. I know it's a big shift.
Oh, Molina, that is so fantastic.
Yeah,
and thank you
right.
so much for sharing it with us. We are
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. We are so excited that
You're welcome.
Dr. Shackley, heck with yesterday, what's happening tomorrow. And I am sure that he is doing a happy dance right now.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, I did not have the privilege of meeting him or knowing him like you guys did, but we were very inspired by a lot of his words and his mission. And I mean, he built a legacy company, so long ago. He was a true visionary. So, it's our job to be the stewards and see it forward. So it's been an honor. So thank you guys so much.
Well, we appreciate everything you're doing and all the new young people who are joining Shackley now. It's just astonishing. Many of us have been in for 40, 50 years. We remember what it was like to be young and excited, and we're still excited, but super excited that so many young people are coming in. So thank you, Molina.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And now Ro is going to give us some tips about where to watch the Zoom recording. Rosanna.
Okay, everybody. Now, you know how we always aim to please. So we're going to have our recorded version of this Zoom call always at the front runners. We love our front runners because they've been so good to us. So you can go to 1-800-237-5199 or just go to info@thefrontrunners.com. And since we are still aiming to please more and more, you can go to our Eden group. That's Eden Earth Day Everyday Network. Please join the group if you haven't joined already. Invite others to join our group. It's free, and we love to have comments and posts from you. So any of your questions that you have for today's call, place them at Eden Earth Day Everyday Network, and we'll try to get you your answers, so that everybody can see the questions and the answers right there from tonight's call. Thank you.
And thank you to everyone. And let's celebrate Dr. Shackley every day. Thanks so much for the wonderful call. And Cheryl and Marty, thank you for helping with the Zoom.
You're very welcome.
Happy birthday, Dr. Shackley.
Happy birthday.
go. All right, we got everyone on the screen now. Great stuff. Love the packaging. Love the spirit of Dr. Shackley going forward. Love that redone signature. I've seen it on a couple of the labels that have come across our shipments. So that's really exciting.
He comes up here and reads my
Oh
shelves.
gosh.
It's also beautiful and classy, and it just captures your eye.
Yep.
I'm still hoping though, and I'm still writing to Shackley all the time saying that I would like it to them to change the labels back to the wording that they used to have before, vitally with iron and vitally without iron, because men do not like taking the vitally with, I mean, the women don't like taking them in. I mean, it's just weird. And I understand that. And we explain it and that works. But we shouldn't have to do that sort of explaining, because that kind of, you know, gets people off into Netherland or wherever. So we'll keep working on it.
Molina and her team are on it. Absolutely.
It's in the works, Ro.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So I keep my fingers crossed, and you masters, hint, 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 you guys have more clout than we even do, even though Shackley is so open with everyone. So help us work on it.
Well, the labels sure looked excellent. You could really read the word. So that was
Beverly is
very
muted.
cool.
Beverly, you can unmute.
I'm going to unmute everyone.
Okay.
And I'm sorry that I cannot get my video to show myself. I even actually did my hair and my makeup so that you guys wouldn't be afraid, but it's some things gone wrong here. So that's okay.
All right, everyone, you should be able to unmute and
There
say
we
your
go.
hellos and your comments. And
Hey,
if you got background noise, you can always
Hey,
unmute
Lisa.
yourself.
Hey, Van.
Hey,
Beverly.
hey,
Hey, Sheila.
yeah,
Yay.
Thank you, everyone. What a great.
Thanks,
thing to hear the
everyone.
This
stories.
was
wonderful.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
It was such
Thank you.
fun.
This is our very first Eden Zoom call. And thanks to Cheryl and Marty for subbing for Dan, because Dan's out of town today and I didn't want to take the chance of taking it on. And just in case, not for the first one anyways, I won't
This
mind,
was,
you know.
this was absolutely perfect. Share pictures.
Marty's my AV guy.
Yeah.
We worked it out as a team. You're so welcome, everyone. We love
Thank you,
you.
Cheryl and Marty team.
You're so welcome, everyone. We love you. Can't wait to see you live and in person for a big Shackley hug.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Cannot wait.
Kansas City.
Kansas
Here we
City.
come.
Here we come.
Yeah.
And happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving to the US family.
Happy
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
That's true.
Olivia,
thank
the rest
you,
of you in
Dr.
Canada have
Shackley.
already
But if
enjoyed
it's-
your harvest festival.
If it
From-
spills
from the
over,
Ca-
that's okay
from the-
too. To
from the
Mexico or
Canadian
to
on-
Canada.
From the Canadian on here, I'd like to wish all my friends in the US a very happy, healthy Thanksgiving.
And
Thank
to
you, Olivia.
Olivia, thank you for making our first Zoom call international.
Yay.
And Terry and Maureen are in Canada
Oh,
also.
Jerry and Maureen are from Canada
All
also.
right,
Yeah.
all right.
As a 45-year cancer survivor, 45-year Shackley user, believe me, this company, just nothing can touch this company.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's up to us to share it with everyone.
Olivia's my hero.
Oh, you look so beautiful, Olivia.
Oh, thank you. That's a nice compliment to an 83-year-old.
I wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't true, because everybody on this call knows me. I only speak the truth.
83 years young and going
God bless
strong.
you.
That's 43 in Shackley years.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
You should
That's
see the
true.
length of her telomeres.
I'd like to see him.
Oh my gosh.
It's a great group. Love to be part of you guys.
Well, it was just very exciting, and I'm just proud of this Eden team.
Very proud.
those extended runovers like Cheryl and Marty and Lisa Burbach. She helped out with some of our publicity.
Nice.
Awesome.
Good
All
job,
right.
Lisa.
Yay.
And I'm so proud of Beverly Willingham because
Hello.
she was my first member and she founded Eden.
That's right.
And I am
Yes,
And
that's
Ruth
right.
Bell has been taking care of it for a long time too. Thank you, Ruth.
You bet.
And Rosanna.
And
Yep.
Rosanna for sure.
Well,
Well,
looks
the
like
And
we
we
have-
see Dan. He might not be there, but we see him.
Well, yeah. So that's probably why it's stuck on that. He probably did something to make it stuck like that.
well, Patricia, and thank you so much for
And
the
Annie did a great job.
little clarification there on the labels, and I'm glad that you're also international too.
Yeah.
Trisha
Yes.
Thompson.
All right.
Yay.
Thank you all. This is wonderful.
Not everyone was able to jump on with the video and the audio, but we see you in the chat, so thank you. Iron plus C for men. Yeah,
Right.
that would be cool.
Or just iron plus C, period, is what we have. And a lot of
Let's
men
add it
make
to
it.
Right.
Right.
There's a lot of people not.
I'd like to see the Vital E be plus iron or no iron.
Well, we
Vitally
just
Gold.
said that right before you came back on, Beverly. We were all
Yeah.
saying, and then we heard from Marty and Cheryl, hint, hint, masters that they are, that it's in maybe the works.
It's in the works.
The work that is.
Hi, Ruth.
Well, all of this chatter is being recorded.
Oh, that's right.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good, because it's kind of like Q&A, you know?
Like my,
So send those messages about the Vital E straight in.
There you go.
that's right.
All right.
Okay, good night, guys.
Thanks,
Have a great
everybody.
week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Great job, Eden Corps.
Yeah, love you all. See you.
Thank you.
You
Ciao,
did great.
ciao.
Bye.
Yeah.